Since the dawn of human civilization, mankind has indulged in dangerous maneuvers which have ended his career. I'll give you a few amazing examples from the recent memory. Christian Horner sending dick pics to a coworker, Michael Massey changing the safety car rules in Abu Dhabi 2021, Red Bull drivers saying yes to the second seat to be Max Verstappen's teammate, Formula One drivers defending against Osama bin Russell, Fernando Alonso going to a popular Formula One team thinking that that move is going to change his career's trajectory, and obviously seasoned Formula One world champions going to Ferrari with the intention of winning. And the most recent seasoned Formula One world champion that went to Ferrari to achieve the impossible is Lewis Hamilton. The 7-time world champion has been aura farming since the day he landed in Maranello with those amazing Italian mob boss pictures. And then in the O2 Arena in London, he said that he was invigorated to join Ferrari. So let's go ahead and take a brief look at how his first 13 races with Ferrari ended up, because the morning shows the day, and if these 13 races indicate that he is having a bad time in Ferrari, then his chances of winning another world championship with Ferrari is looking slim. So we start the 2025 season in Melbourne, thank God for that, and Ferrari just threw away a double podium. There was a time in the race in both of the Ferraris were running 1 and 2 in Melbourne, but because they were Ferrari and it's the very first race of the season, they couldn't get the hopes of their drivers too much. They needed to make some mistakes, and they did that, and eventually, from a potential 1 and 2, they finished 8th and 10th. In the very first race of the season, you cannot make these type of things up. Then the second race of the season, which happened in China, this was a complete Ferrari experience for Lewis Hamilton because he scored his first sprint pole and first sprint victory in China, which is also the first ever sprint pole and first ever sprint victory for Ferrari. Pretty special moment. But in the very next day, the main race, both of the Ferraris get disqualified, completing the first cycle of the Ferrari experience. And there were multiple races after that as well. For example, in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Jeddah, Lewis said that he was fighting the car in every corner. Then in Miami, which was the most entertaining race if you were a Formula One fan, because a lot of shenanigans were happening in the radio. We had some classic radio moments between Lewis Hamilton and Riccardo Adami. So basically what happened is Lewis was on fresh mediums and Charles was on fresh hards right ahead of him. Lewis was on the radio. He's like, my tires are warmed up. Tell Charles to get the fuck out of my way. Let me go put in some amazing lap times to go ahead and chase Kimi Antonelli, who is ahead of Charles. Obviously, Ferrari took their sweet time, and by the time the move happened, a lot of life from Lewis's tires was gone because he was closely following Charles Leclerc, and the dirty air and the hot air and the turbulent air fucked up his tires. And by that time, Charles's tires were actually in the right temperature because they were hards, right? It takes a little bit of time to warm up the hard tires, so they were warm. Now this time, Charles is behind Lewis and he's screaming on the radio that I need the position back in order to go and put some pressure on Antonelli. In the end, neither of them were able to put any pressure on Antonelli. In fact, they were actually pressured from behind Carlos Sainz because they spent a lot of time debating with their race engineers and making the switches. So that happened in Miami. In Canada, Lewis Hamilton killed a groundhog, then sustained some damage to his Ferrari, which ruined his race kind of. Then in Monaco, Lewis asked something to Riccardo Adami, and then Riccardo Adami replied with some obscure information. I think he asked about where he is and what's the gap front, and Riccardo said, like, this is the lap time that Verstappen is doing or some shit like that. Lewis said on the radio that you're not answering the question. You're just giving me some random information. And this is something that we have seen before with Riccardo Adami, like with Sebastian Vettel, with Carlos Sainz. This guy has the communication skills of a monkey with Down syndrome. I'm not even kidding. This guy might be one of the best race engineers of all time, whatever, doesn't look like it, but maybe. But his communication skills are shit. And after that, in Spain, Lewis was overtaken by the Sauber of Nico Hülkenberg. Then in Silverstone, the car was actually good in all of the sessions except for the race. So in practice, Lewis was looking good. In qualifying, it looked like Lewis will be on the front row. He fucked up the last sector, that's why he was P4. But it looked like he could qualify on the front row in Silverstone. And in the main race, the car just got away from him. It was snappy. It was behaving erratically. Lewis's own words. He said that shit on the radio. And in the most recent race in Belgium, things were not that better either. Ferrari shipped an upgrade to Lewis's car, and because it's a Ferrari upgrade, things will first get significantly worse, then they will get better. Like, this is just how Ferrari works. If you're a new Formula One viewer, you probably don't know it, but each time Ferrari ships an upgrade, first it will make the car shit for the foreseeable future, and then the drivers will, get used to it and drive around it to extract some performance out of it. Like, this is the Ferrari way of things. So that's exactly what has happened in Belgium. Practice 1, qualifying, sprint race, all of it was just absolutely horrible for Lewis Hamilton. He had his first ever spin in a Ferrari. Like, he never lost the rear and spun around the way he did with Ferrari. And this is a critical moment because when you spin and lose the rear as a driver, your confidence just goes away. This is something that Nico Rosberg has said a long time ago, like when he was commentating on some race about, I think, Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel had a lot of these spinning moments with Ferrari. So Lewis Hamilton had his first ever spin with Ferrari, which is amazing. A lot more firsts to come. And somehow he recovered in the race day. He started dead last. He started on the pit lane. They made some changes to the setup of the car, added a little bit of extra downforce so that he will have a car that he can trust on the racing conditions. And he finally had a car that he could trust on the racing conditions. Pit lane to P7, decent recovery. A weekend to forget overall, but it ended with a positive note, is what I'm trying to say. So if you look at the data, 9 out of 13 races of the 2025 Formula One season, Lewis had a bad time in that Ferrari. And while all these things are a little bit funny, you have to give credit to Lewis for still not giving up. Because a few race weekends ago, he said that he's constantly challenging the engineers. He's, how they develop the car, how they take the feedback, how they do the debriefs, all this type of things. He's constantly challenging these type of procedures. He said that a few race weekends ago. And recently, in the Belgian Grand Prix week, on Thursday, he said that he wrote a lot of documents for the Ferrari senior people, and he had many meetings with the top dogs of Ferrari because he doesn't want to end up the same way as Fernando did, as Sebastian did, as Kimi Raikkonen did, which is not winning multiple world championships with Ferrari. Kimi won one, but then he went to Lotus, and when he returned back to Ferrari, he didn't win shit. The same thing is true with Fernando and Sebastian. These guys didn't win world championships with Ferrari, and Lewis is like, I am doing all of this work so that I will not reach the same fate. So you have to give some credit to Lewis for still believing that the Ferrari is a team that can win world championships despite almost 2 decades of complacency, right? The history, if it teaches us anything, is that the Ferrari is very consistent at being unpredictable, at being shit. And this is truly, this is impressive in my opinion, because all of the efforts that Lewis Hamilton is putting in is not going to work. He's not winning his 8th world title ever, especially not with Ferrari. And the reason is because Ferrari embodies the true essence of motorsport, which is unpredictability. One of the primary reasons why we love motor racing is because it's unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how a driver feels in the moment of the battle. You don't know the issues or the mechanical problems that could pop up in the heat of the battle. You don't know how the car is going to perform until you watch the race. And this unpredictability makes motorsport fun. And Ferrari embody that. Everything in Ferrari is chaotic, is unpredictable, is emotional, and it's crazy. I struggle to remember 3 consecutive race weekends in which Ferrari, in the recent history, in which Ferrari has maximized the performance of the entire team. I struggle to remember that because in one race weekend, if they achieve a great result, then definitely in the next race weekend things will go bad. It always goes to, China 2025 sprint race where Ferrari had a great moment. Lewis Hamilton won. It was Lewis's first sprint victory, and so also Ferrari's first sprint victory. But then right after that, double DNF. So Ferrari always, tries to maintain a balance of good performance and also shit performance, and they embody the true essence of motorsport. It's like dating a chick with bipolar disorder. She's gonna be great in the bedroom. She's probably going to let you smash her friends, but eventually she's going to burn your clothes, key your car, and try to mutilate you when you're asleep. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.